Hi there, Warriors, and welcome to the new live stream, the new weekend roundup on the Uruguayan Heroes YouTube channel. And this weekend, there were lots of stories still, but also, well, let's start with the first one I had in mind. Arezo, he keeps scoring. He keeps scoring. I mentioned his move, or I mentioned his possible move to Peñarol when he was at Granada, and I was doubting it. I think maybe you should stay in Europe, but he's proving me wrong. And I obviously knew that he had the qualities to do well in Uruguayan football. That is absolutely not in doubt. But I didn't expect him to do this well. And it's really a confidence booster for both Peñarol and also, well, Uruguayan fans of the national team, because Arezo is one of the most promising young players. Um, Arezo was one of the players that caught the highlights, caught the headlines. Um, and next to Arezo, I have to say, a lot of players like Cavani still not back, Bentancur obviously out, Darwin not having his best game. A lot of the big name players that didn't have like a brilliant weekend. So that's why today we're probably going to look more in the less covered players. For example, Jonathan Sabatini, who is a 35-year-old midfielder who was playing in Switzerland from already from 2012 until now for Lugano, FC Lugano, and he scored a goal and gave an assist in Swiss league action. So yeah, we're gonna talk about players like that, which are normally not covered that much. So that's gonna be nice as well. But I first want to thank all of you for being here. Let me know your opinions on this weekend's action. Any performance you want to highlight, any player you want to highlight, or maybe even a manager of Uruguayan origin, or any game you want to talk about. Just drop a comment in the live chat, and we will discuss it for sure. So yeah, the first I want to talk about is the one I just mentioned in the intro. Is Matias Arezo. So I'm gonna go and go to Twitter because it's always a nice way to look at some statistics and also know your opinions, which is well more important for me anyway. So yeah, here he scored in a 2-2 draw and was a beautiful goal as well. I want to actually look at it, but I'm not sure if we are able to because of copyright issues. So I'll have a think about it. So and let's have a look at some comments from you guys here. Andres, a longtime follower, with a comment says, with each passing game, it looks worse and worse for Canada for never letting it do it well. I know money rules and it's a life changer, but he, his agent, should have chosen their destination team a little better. Yeah, it's a good point. Although you can never expect to be fair. Certainly not with Granada, who already changed managers since he's gone there. You can never expect what the manager is gonna do, and some managers certainly are more willing to give young players a chance, and other players certainly when you're battling against relegation, they will go for experience. So yeah, it was always a hard thing to predict, but recently we have seen many of these cases with young Uruguayan players going to Europe and playing for good teams, but teams that are lower in the table and that seem to be unwilling, or coaches that seem to be unwilling to giving them a run of games because they are so under threat. Their job is so under threat. So they have to get results instantly, and then they tend to go for more experienced players because, well, these are normally more accustomed to these type of battles when you're like playing against relegation. But for me, it's a shame, and yeah. But he will be back in Europe for sure, whether it be at Granada or another team. We will see him, and I'm sure we will see him shine. And then there is Egyptian Torres. He should have joined Atletico, and yeah, we all knew that there were lots of rumors that Atletico were in for him. I think it's like already like 1 or 2 years these rumors were going on. But yeah, Granada managed to snap him up for, I think it was even 5 or 6 millions. Not a lot, to be honest. So it was really a surprise. Yeah. And then Mama Shellington. Obviously, the goals are very welcome, but I'm also just super happy for him that the loan is working out and he's back at his best or better. He's so loved by the fans, and it just looks like he's really enjoying playing again. So nice to see, and please let him stay all year. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He's scoring goals and really enjoying himself playing football again, which is what every footballer wants to do, obviously. Um, so yeah, and I think he will stay for the complete loan because I saw there was an injury to Molina, one of the strikers of Granada, but yeah, it would be really hard on Peñarol for Canada to go back now and get him back from the loan. That would be awful, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. Another thing I want to highlight here, it was a nice thing. It was Franco Israel who made his debut in the Portuguese league. The 22-year-old goalkeeper was Uruguay under 20 goalkeeper in 2019 at the World Cup and also the Sudamericano. Went to Juventus, or already was at Juventus at that moment. And was he? Oh, I'm doubting now. But anyway, he either was at Juventus or he was about to move from Nacional to Juventus. But yeah, he went to Juventus, but never really got an opportunity, which is obviously it's normal when you're a young guy, a young goalkeeper, certainly in Italy. And then he has gone to Sporting last transfer window, or the July transfer window, August. Um, and he's not got a lot of opportunities, even in the cup competitions. He has been sometimes left out, and Adan, the first goalkeeper, was playing. But yeah, today or yesterday was against Boavista. He got his opportunity, kept the clean sheet. Also didn't have much to do, but still it's good to see. And yeah, Israel was playing, and also Ugarte and Coates. So yeah, 3 Uruguayans playing. That's always great to see. I think we all love these teams that have a lot of Uruguayans. For example, Getafe is a club like this. Cagliari has been this as well. Yeah, it's always great to see. I think it is anyway. Okay, so I want to move on to this one. This guy played for Nacional, Palmeiras, Roma, and then he went to Bournemouth in January. With the thought process, I would believe, to get more minutes. And unfortunately, it's not been like this. He's not started the game yet. He's had a few cameo appearances, like this one on the weekend against Liverpool, but he only played like, well, that wasn't even more than 5 minutes, I think. So he came on after 88 minutes. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna check but it wasn't more than 10 minutes anyway. So that's a shame to see. And hopefully he can cement a spot in the starting lineup, because I mean, he went away from Roma because he obviously wasn't playing over there. So to experience the same thing, well, he played 8 minutes, and yeah, but to experience the same thing in England at Bournemouth is a really not a good thing, to be honest. But yeah, we have to wait and find out how his loan progresses. And if it stays like this, yeah, it's really time for him to probably move permanently away from Roma to a club where he has the real prospect of playing a lot more. Because if he wants to continue to be a Uruguay international, which he still continues to be, by the way, but if he wants to do this, wants to be this for the coming 2-3 years, he cannot keep getting benched and having no game time, really, because I mean, it's still baffling to me that Piqueres and Espino haven't been chosen ahead of Viña in the last two years, on certain occasions. But this is a thing that cannot continue, obviously, for much longer, because he's once again in the preliminary squad for the March friendlies, and that's a bit puzzling to me for a player that I think maybe he started 1 or 2 games in the Europa League for Roma this season, but that's it, and that's not good, So hopefully that will be sorted out. Okay, another story, which is a bit more positive, to be honest, because Torreira and Muslera are part of quite a special side, special Galatasaray side, that is. Because as you can read there, they now hold the record for the longest winning streak in Turkish Super League history. I think it's been like 15 games they've won now consecutively. And this weekend, or even in the midweek, the Turkish league returned, obviously after they was cancelled for, I think it was 2 weeks because of the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. But they returned and they won 1-0 it was. And yeah, they are, well, I mean, you can never be sure, you can never say for sure, but they are looking likely league winners, or they are destined to win the league at the moment. I'm gonna check it for sure if I can type. They are ahead of Fenerbahce, who's the second place team. So now 9 points now. Okay, Fenerbahce can still get it back to 6 points. So it's not over. That's true, but the form that they've been on, it's been phenomenal. And you know what? You can say about Torreira whatever you want. It's a player that did well in the Italian league last season. Was one of the best midfielders in the Italian league when he was playing for Fiorentina. Certainly in his position, as a central defensive midfielder. Um, and for him then to go to Galatasaray, which is a huge club. Don't get me wrong, it's a huge club, but at the moment, where they finished something like 10th or 12th last season. In Europe, they haven't done anything of note in the last few years. Turkish football haven't done anything of note in European football the last few years. Anyway, by the way, so that's the way it is. I think they are like 13th, 14th in the European coefficient list. So to go to Turkish league at the moment when probably you should be playing in one of the top leagues, it's a move that like brings up some questions for me as well. But the way it's going now, he's off. He's getting closer and closer to a league title. And yeah, you can say whatever you want about the move, but winning trophies is obviously where it's all about for the players. And that's something I hope to see him do this season. I hope really to see him lift this Super League as well as Muslera, but he's won a few few already. But for Torreira to win the league title with the Galatasaray, go into the Champions League, it's a move that's looking way better at the moment than, or if that comes to fruition, that would look much better. Yeah, but still, I think it is 19 teams. Okay, is that normal? Maybe it's like maybe some team has been expelled of the competition, but 19 seems odd for me as a number of teams in the competition. But so still, I think it is 36. No, yeah, 12 games left to play. So yeah, but I will be rooting for Gala. Sorry, Rossi. Sorry, Diego, but that's the way it is. Yeah. Okay. And well, Oliveira. The thing with Oliveira is he's not been a solid or how do you say? He's not been the starter always for Napoli. He's been changing it up with Mario Rui, who was the starting left back when Oliveira came to the club, and they are interchanging. Spalletti is changing them week by week, basically. And the fact that Oliveira is just getting into the starting position a lot speaks volumes to the quality he has and the way he started off by Spalletti, because Mario Ruiz is a really good left back. So his spot, he's not secured yet, but certainly in the future will, because Ruiz is already getting on in age. And Oliveira, even though it's not as like a fixed starter, he's gonna win the league. In his first season at Napoli, he's gonna win. He's gonna be part of history for yeah this Napoli side. I think it's the first time in like 30 years they're going to win it. And I mean, I'm feeling like I'm jinxing it, but that's impossible because there's something like 18 points ahead, and that's gonna be brilliant to see. To see him lift this league title, because I mean, if we look past at every competition, we have Oliveira in Italy. We have Torreira and Muslera or Rossi in Turkey. We have Araujo or Valverde and Alvaro Rodriguez in Spain. In France, okay, we got none. In England, maybe Pelistri, maybe United can come up with something, but that seems unlikely. And Portugal, okay, also not. So yeah, still a few competitions when they're not Uruguayans with the league title, but it's always great to see our boys within a chance of getting a trophy. Yeah, I'm gonna switch back to the chat, see if there are some comments, and there are. Hello, so Lauti, hello man, how are you doing? Hello, thanks. I'm doing okay. Doing okay. Hopefully you're doing good you're doing all right as well. Yeah, and hopefully this is probably about Arezo. Yeah, that's the thing. He never played, which was so infuriating. Okay, Danny F. Hi, Danny. Good to see you, man. This squad in the upcoming friendly is a joke, bro. Insane how they're calling up guys in the Liga MX over guys in Europe, and they're not even calling up the right people in the Liga MX. That's the thing. That's what's frustrating me even more. But yeah, I wasn't really that satisfied about the squad list as well because I know there was this quota of 15 players that were in the World Cup squad that need to be called up this time as well. So maybe that's an excuse you can give them, the people that were in charge of making these decisions. But there were certainly a few players that I would love to have seen. Ignacio Dara Barrena, maybe I've butchered that name, but he's for sure would have been on my list because he's probably the best goalkeeper of Uruguayan origin at this moment in time, because he's the only one next to Muslera who's actually playing in Europe on a consistent basis, and he's doing so well for Aruca in Portuguese league. So for me, he would have been on there. Rodrigo Salazar would have absolutely been on there, and also with him, you can say he's just come back from injury, but I'm not really buying this. So these are two names I would have certainly called up. And yeah, if we go down the list, we can name some more. So yeah, it wasn't a great list, or isn't a great list in my opinion as well. But we also have to realize that Broly is in charge, the interim manager. So yeah, let's just slide. Let's just let it slide for the moment because yeah, I also didn't really have an opinion about it on Twitter, I think, because I was thinking I'm back with my analysis on the Uruguay national team. If we actually get our new manager in, then we can look at things. Then we can look at what he does and have an opinion. Because now it's just we are in no man's land when it comes to the Uruguayan Football Association and the national team, in just no man's land. So yeah, it's frustrating. And then he continues, says, I was expecting to see guys like Fabricio Diaz, Luciano Rodriguez, Alfaro Rodriguez, Gaston Alvarez, Mauro Arambari, Joaquin Sosa, Rodrigo Salazar, Arua Barrena, Franco Fagundes, Martins Adriano. Yeah, I think we all were a little bit expecting some of these names. But yeah, in the future looks very bright for sure with the players we currently have in our national pool. Let's hope we can assign, we can get a good manager in, Almada, for example. But yeah, we have to wait and see. Lauti says, time to dream for the 2026 World Cup. We have superb players. Yeah, we have. I mean, that's the thing. And I even would look a little bit earlier. I would look at the 2024 Copa America. That's going to be a really exciting tournament. But yeah, we have the right to dream, as Uruguay always has. But the players that are coming through, that are already there, they certainly give us some, how do you say? Yeah, it gives us reason to dream, realistically, for us to actually be competitive and maybe win a trophy once again, which is what we all are desperate for. Yeah. Camilo says, hello, man. Good to see you on the stream again. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here as well. I appreciate it. And he says, have you seen that Man United is planning on loaning Pelistri next season? Where do you like to see him, and where do you think he should end? Yeah, I read this shortly, but I think I read it not on a direct source, but I read it on some accounts, aggregator accounts, news aggregator accounts. So I'm not sure if it's genuine. For me, it seems odd that something like this would come out now. We're in March, and also, yeah. So that just seemed odd to me. But it should. I mean, it probably will be the case because although he's played in the last 2 games, 2 cameo appearances, he has been overlooked in many games as well. So for Pelistri, the thing is he needs to play, just like Arezo. He went to Peñarol because he needs to play. And I'm not saying Pelistri should go to Peñarol as well, but what he needs to do is to go to a club that can offer him first team opportunities on a regular basis. And where do I like to see him? The team I probably like most is Braga, Sporting Braga in Portugal. They are in the top end of the league in Portugal regularly. They are now third, even above Sporting Club de Portugal. they could be playing Champions League next season. It's a team that gives chances to youth players. It's a team, like I said, is in the top of the league, plays offensive football, mostly has most of possession, which is more suited to Pelistri's game, because he went to Alaves and he was actually playing as a wide midfielder in a 4-4-2 formation, which was really pragmatic, which gave him a lot of defensive responsibility, which really limited his attacking possibilities. So that's not a good thing. So Braga is probably one that I would like better. And I'm not sure if that's even an option, obviously, but these are the kind of teams which I believe he has the level to play at, and also have the philosophy or the circumstances for him to excel and to really show what a good player he is. And he's even showing this right now at United in the few opportunities he's been given. The game against Betis in midweek or last week, the assist he gave, or not the assist, but the dribble and then the ball across the box, which eventually led to the goal. He came on against the game on the weekend against Southampton. Yeah, it was. He also did okay. It wasn't exceptional, but he's showing signs that he's a player that should be playing, basically. So we will see how this will end up. And on the question, where do you think he would end? I think he probably would end in maybe Portugal or Spain or Italy, in a team that is probably not. I mean, you can never expect or you can never predict football, but I think he has the qualities to play for example, like I said, a Braga, or maybe even if he goes to Braga and does well, to go to Benfica, or maybe in Spain for a team like Villarreal. I think he has the capabilities to do this. But yeah, we have to see, because it's never easy to predict a footballer's career. I think we all have had some players that we thought were going to be stars, and they ended up being, well, nothing like this, and also vice versa. So yeah, I'm just putting out quickly this tweet that we are live. Okay, let's go to the next comment. Stay Blessed says, where are the games being played versus Japan and South Korea? And do you expect comfortable victories? I think they are both played in Japan and South Korea. So in the Japan game again is in Japan, South Korea is in South Korea. So yeah, it's gonna be an Asian tour, which I think is actually pretty awesome when it happens, because you see how crazy some of South Koreans or Japanese fans are for Uruguay. So that's also always great to see. And will it be comfortable victories? No, I would not expect this. And I also don't hope this, to be honest, because if we actually go and play against South Korea and win 4-0, that would absolutely frustrate the living hell out of me, because of how we did against them in the World Cup. So, but anyway, I don't think it will be comfortable, because it's a really hard place Uruguay is at the moment. It's transition, and transitions normally, when it comes to Uruguay, don't go that easy. Lucas says, we have 3.5 million people, but we all play football, unlike other countries where football isn't necessary. The country's top sport. No, it's true. Well, it's obviously there are countries who does have football as their top sport as well, but yeah, Uruguay is really unique in the sense that the football is like part of the national tradition and their DNA basically. And I did for school, I had to write something, an art story, but it wasn't really you could take a piece of art and then have a small element. And like, for example, what I did is that I did Obdulio Forela. And Obdulio Forela as how do you say? I forgot the word, but he has some artwork made of him, which is close to the Montevideo Wanderers Stadium, which is the team he played for, his first team. And this artwork, how do you say? I only have the word in Dutch at the moment, but how do you say? I don't know why this has escaped my mind, but I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry. Uh, okay, so statue. That's it. I'm not sure how that took that long, but the statue of Varela. So I use this as my art, which I had to write a story about, and then I made a story about the Uruguayan football history, but also the way it has some links with Uruguay's history as a country. Because when um, when the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Brazilian, when they came for Uruguay, to take it over, to capture land, there were always these tribes, and one of them was the Charrua tribe, which defended, even though they were heavily outnumbered, and eventually they lost because of the warfare that was going on for years and years, and also because um, the Charrua people were yeah, were, how do you say, were well, having it on with the wives of the Spanish woman and the Portuguese woman, which basically weakened their DNA. Yeah, so that's why they eventually were ousted, and where when Uruguay were actually taken over by certain other nations. But this is really what also happens in the football world, is that Uruguay is like in between these two giants, and they are constantly outnumbered, and they have no right to basically win or even put up a challenge, and they still manage to do it sometimes. And that's really special. And yeah, I think Croatia has a similar population, also similar footballing spirit, but obviously the history is different. Uruguay has a much more glorious history, but it is still amazing that it's the case, that Uruguay is so good at football. Yeah. Foss says Pelistri is talented. Yes, he is, absolutely. I think that's what we can all see it. Yeah. George Tumillo says, thoughts on if we ever see a Loco Abreu or Forlan coaching the national side one day. Who knows, man? I mean, Abreu was actually doing well in Peru at the moment. Forlan, his coaching career hasn't gone well so far, but yeah, I mean, never rule it out, because they are big names in Uruguayan football. So if actually they develop to be competent managers with a good career in management, um, yeah, I would be all for it. Um, but unfortunately, this is not the case yet. But one day, maybe. I mean, you never know. Abreu is certainly someone who seems really ambitious. Forlan, he is gone off coaching at the moment, but I still think his long-term plans are in managing and coaching football teams. So, yeah, I mean, it would make up for some great. I mean, you would want them to succeed more than anyone, because they have you have such a connection with them for what they did as a player, and also certainly Abreu. They are such great characters. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Abreu, especially. They're just these unique characters which are a treasure to Uruguayan football. Jorge Cepero says, "Hey David, hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay, man, and also hope you're doing well." Uh, and he continues, what was said about the squad pre-list is true. The national team should only consist of players in Europe's top five leagues, with the exception of Tarasqueta. Well, for me, it's not I actually don't think this has to be the case. I mean, for sure, when players are doing well in the top five leagues, yeah, they probably have a big claim to be there, because they are doing it at the highest level. But I'm not against a player from the Argentinian league or the Mexican league or the Portuguese league or the Dutch league being in the team. But yeah, you are right that we should be a little bit calm with it, because actually, when you look at some players that are in the squad right now, for example, Jonathan Rodriguez, who I think is a good striker, but you also have to realize I think he's 30 now. Is he going to be in our future plans, or is he someone that's going to be a starter in 2 years? And I'm not saying this is how you should always think when you're calling up players. I mean, you can call up players that could do the job right now, but normally when you have a player like Jonathan Rodriguez, who is not first team level, I mean, not starter level for Uruguay, I would probably go with a player that's maybe a bit younger, maybe a bit more unproven, but who has the potential to one day be a star for Uruguay. And someone like that is Alvaro Rodriguez, for example. So we missed the trick a little bit on in that yeah on that aspect for me. Pelistri and Fabricio Diaz to FC Porto. Well, then yeah, I would like that, to be honest. That would be a good would be good moves for sure. Fabricio Diaz, that's would for him it would be a brilliant move even. Um, and also because Uruguay or there are no Uruguayans at Porto at the moment, but there is history there with Alvaro Pereira, with Jorge Fuchile, Cebolla Rodriguez. So yeah, there is history there, and let's Fabio Diaz be the next one in this list. Jorge Cepero says, like you said, Fina had a good cameo. I know Bournemouth is relegation fodder, but if he can play in the Premier or Championship, it's much better than being a bench warmer for Roma. For sure. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with English football now is that clubs like Bournemouth and well, in this region, Southampton, Bournemouth, Leeds, these teams, they can go to any league and buy players from the top teams. You saw McKennie went from Juventus to Leeds, Viña from Roma to Bournemouth. I mean, Roma is maybe not the top of the top, but you get what I mean. That's how big the English Premier League right now is in terms of financial power. They are almost like the new Super League. So yeah, it's a good competition for any Uruguayan to play in right now. And Viña, Bentancur, Pelistri, and Darwin, the four Uruguayans there. But in the upcoming years, I think there will be more because yeah, it's the Premier League is where the money is, and obviously money is not everything, because also in Spain and in other countries you can earn a lot of money and probably be in a competition that is better suited culturally, or a country that's better suited culturally to Uruguayans. But it's going to be hard for Ugarte, for example, to look past the Premier League with all the teams that are looking at him right now, and with everything the Premier League and the clubs in the Premier League offer at the moment. Yeah. Northern Light says Ugarte is working under a top level manager at Sporting Club de Portugal in Ruben Amorim. I believe both Ugarte and Ruben Amorim will be in the Premier League in the next few years. It's a good shout. Yeah, it's a good shout because Amorim is a good manager. I mean, I think Sporting is struggling a little bit this season, but they won the league in 2021, I think it was, which is a really hard thing to do, and I think it was the first time in 20 years that they did so. So yeah, I think you could be right there, and Ugarte for sure. I think Ugarte in the summer probably will go, and I'm just retweeting that we are live, by the way. But do I like this? I'm not sure because I think he's 21. I think Sporting is a brilliant club with a brilliant environment for young players to develop. So I think maybe it's a bit too early, but at the moment, it's almost impossible for players to stay at like lower level clubs. I mean, Sporting is a lower level to, for example, to a club like Chelsea or City. It's almost impossible for these players at 20, 21, 22 to stay at lower level clubs if they're doing well, because the money that's being offered to the clubs and to the players themselves is just ridiculous. So Mudrik, for example, is another one, but he's one of the big ones. But there are also players going for 30, 40, 50 million, which are almost not covered because it's normal, or it's not that much anymore because the limit is even more. I think, for example, what's his name, Duarte. I think it's a player, a Colombian striker who went to Aston Villa. He went for 20 million or 25 million. I mean, he's a 90-year-old kid who played a few games in the MLS and who did okay for the under 20 side of Colombia. So that's the levels we are going at. And with Ugarte, it's gonna be really hard for Sporting to keep him. Lisa Smith, hi Lisa. Mural, these are just my how do you say, blinders for people not to peek in, but No, I've got a really boring room, to be honest. The Uruguay flag is over there though, so that's always nice. But yeah, maybe I would. Maybe I'm gonna buy something to fill it up, which also would be nice for you to look at, probably. So yeah, I will look into that for sure. Jorge Cepero says, I hope Torreira leaves Galatasaray and goes back to Italy, Spain, or England. The same with Rossi and Maxi Gomez. Turks seem cool people, especially the Gala fans, but players need to be in a top five league. Yeah, I think I agree with you, but Maxi Gomez and Rossi probably, I don't think, yeah, they probably, for themselves, it will be something good, but I don't think they will, because these are players that are not like doing amazingly in Turkey at the moment. Maxi had a good start. Rossi is not a fixed starter, so it's hard for him to also really shine. But there are players that we have to be honest. Their development has not gone as we probably would have liked to see. So maybe it's a league that's okay for them. Torreira, yeah, I do agree. He should go to Italy or Spain, especially, and go back to a top team. In well, maybe in 1 or 2 years. I think he will probably stay at Gala because they are going to be champions, I think, and they go in the Champions League. But I don't see him playing there for the remainder of his career. So I would love to see him go back as well. And the thing you mentioned, Turks seems cool people. I mean, the Turkish football fans, they are probably the most passionate I've seen. So on Twitter, for example, you see it a lot when I post something about Torreira, then you see the mentions or the comments, and it's really awesome to see how they are. So that's why I also love that some Uruguayans do play in Europe or in Turkey, because yeah, these are crazy. I hope Ugarte goes to the Premier League. It will be awesome to seeing him there. I hope more and more Uruguayans choose the Premier League. What is your opinion? Yeah, I think you probably put this comment before I talked about what I just talked about a few minutes ago. I do agree with you, and I think this will happen as well. More Uruguayans will go to the Premier League. Yeah, and with Palistri, Jorge, yeah, he will succeed, but he needs to have some regularity, continuity, and then he will succeed. So he's not gonna get this at United. Let's be honest. That's the way it is. It's okay, but he just has to move on. David, I saw Schalke's games against Bochum and Dortmund. Salazar played well. I really don't understand how he wasn't even on the reserves list. No, that's what I don't get either. I mean, I didn't see his game against Dortmund, but I did see the game against Bochum. And the only thing, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the only thing I could think of as to why he was not called up to the national team in even a preliminary list is because he just came back from injury. And sometimes you have these arrangements, or this how do you say, this agreement, between a club and a country, that the players are called up because of an injury, because of a risk of an injury, because he just come back. And obviously, Schalke need him. They are battling against relegation, and since he's come back from injury, the change in form has been dramatic in a positive sense. So maybe we can think of this as a reason, because for me he should certainly be on there. Yeah. Danny F says, I can't wait to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch Matias Vecino struggle to pass forward. No, me neither, man. I'm gonna, yeah, it's gonna be hard for sure. But it's probably gonna be the case. That's the thing, which is frustrating. The only players outside of Europe that should be in the Uruguay national team is Adarasqueta, Facundo Torres, and De La Cruz. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably you're right. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe there's someone else, but yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, Alonso is likely to be chosen as manager. I can't believe it. The frustration is incredible. Jorge, yeah. I mean, Ignacio Alonso, I think it was last weekend, he's talked about Alonso, that Diego Alonso was still his number one man, that nothing has changed, that he has huge confidence in him. And I mean, I didn't even post this because it's not the first time that he's come out with something like this. But when someone like this is running the Football Association, I mean, the frustration is the only thing you can experience, right? Because I mean, what can we do? What is this Muppet doing? I mean, it's unbelievable that you're talking someone up after a World Cup campaign like this and doing it so publicly as well. He should not be even among the options anymore, but he is there. He is among the options, which is just a fucking catastrophe. Yeah, Franco Fagundes also should be there. Then he says, "Yeah, maybe, but yeah, you can make an argument for him to be there, but yeah, I'm not sure. What do you think to Leonardo Fernandez and Santiago Bueno, says Foss? Bueno, I think it's good that he's there because he was in the list. And he's playing right now against Atletico, by the way. And Atletico playing against Girona. Jose Jimenez and Santiago Bueno playing against each other. Stuani is on the bench for Girona. So yeah, but yeah, I think he should be Bueno should be in a definitive call up. Leonardo Fernandez, he wasn't called up, right? No, I'm pretty sure he was not, and he's not having an amazing season now because he had a really good campaign in the I think it's Apertura. It was last in 2022, the last few months, and then now is the Clausura, I think. And he's not playing all the time, which is really odd, really something odd because he's really been the star of Toluca in the last 2 years. But the thing with him is he just needs to go to Europe, and I'm sure there are clubs looking at him because he's been doing so well in Mexican football. He just needs to go to Europe and prove him there, and not even at. I mean, I'm talking about a level like Portugal, playing for maybe also Braga. There's also a club that will be brilliant, or maybe in 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 Italy for a club like Fiorentina. I mean, there's a level that he could play at for sure, and then he would be a much better option, a much more visible option for the national team. Yeah. Jorge Cepero says Sadriano scored. Yeah, he scored on the. Was it? I think it was last week. Was it midweek action or no? I'm not sure. He didn't score this weekend. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But Augusto Alvarez Martinez didn't score or didn't play anyway, so that's the way it is. And yeah, he scored against Monza. Satriano did, and on the March 4. So yeah, it's not been fun following them this season because one is not scoring a lot and the other one is not even playing. So hopefully there will be a change in this soon. Danny F says, I have Portuguese friends that are Porto fans, and they still, to this day, love Maxi. Oh, yeah, Maxi Pereira, I forgot. Alvaro Pereira, Fucile, Cebolla. I would love to see Mateo Ponte, Fabricio Diaz, and Luciano Rodriguez at Porto. Yeah, I would love that as well, man. Because, like we said many times, I think on this stream and also on Twitter, like many of you would, I think, agree with me. Portuguese league is the best league for Uruguayans just coming from Europe, from Uruguay. It's the absolute best league for Uruguayans to go to and make their first steps in European football. So yeah. Camilo says Jonathan Rodriguez has always been called up for the national team, but never show a great level. And even in clubs, he's not a star. I don't know why do we keep calling him. Yeah, I don't really know either. I mean, he had a really good period. I think that was at Monterrey. I'm pretty sure it was. And he also had some decent performances and also some goals in the Uruguay national team. But no, he's never been a big hit, which is, I mean, that's not a shame when you're playing alongside Suarez and Cavani, and also now with Darwin coming through. But like you say, it's time to move on basically from Ficino, from Cáceres, who was still in the list. I mean, come on. From Sebastian Sosa, for example, who's still being called up now, who's 38, 39. From Jonathan Rodriguez, for example, but there are more, players that should not be there anymore because we have to look elsewhere. Yeah, Jorge Cepero, it doesn't make sense that the only starting Uruguayan goalkeeper in Europe is not in a national team pre-list. It really doesn't, no. Hopefully this will be changed soon. Do you think Arezo should return to Granada in June? Yeah, I think that in the summer, I think he should go back to Europe because the new season coming up, and that's although Premier fans would not like me saying this, but I'm only talking, I'm only thinking uh, in like what is best for the national team, and for me, Arezo in Europe, developing there, getting well, getting it at a club where he's comfortable, he's playing, scoring. That is the best thing, the best solution, the best prospect. Yeah. Daniel says Diego Rossi is wanted by Torino in Serie A. Okay, I think I have seen these links probably a year ago that he was linked to Torino or maybe another Italian club. Not sure if this is the case now. If you say so, I do believe you. But um, yeah, I mean, he should go to a club for sure that also can give him more minutes. I mean, he's not. It's not like he's not been playing, but Jorge Jesus, the manager of Fenerbahce, is not that fond of him. It's not like he's a regular starter always. Sergio Rosset is another player outside Europe that should be in the national team. National team, his performance versus Ghana will be legendary if we went through. Probably also, yeah, Rosset is probably should be there by the way. But he should go to Europe. That's what I want to see. He should go to Europe, but doesn't seem to be on the horizon at the moment. Lisa says Guillermo Almada has stated interest in managing the national team. If AUF doesn't seriously consider him, I give up. Yeah, no, I do as well. But the thing is, there's almost no point in getting my hopes up because I'm pretty sure he's not even being monitored or being contacted by the AUF. The AUF is going to appoint Diego Alonso once again, and it's going to be horrid because I mean I'm not over the World Cup. Absolutely not. Jesus, we spent like 4.5 years waiting for it. So many we spent so many nights watching absolute garbage football at times. When in the Tabares games, certainly in the midway of the qualification section, that was just absolute torture. And then we went to the World Cup with Alonso letting us play good football, having we're having great hopes because actually we saw a manager that wanted us to be protagonists, and then he went to the World Cup and he shit the bed. I'm not gonna take. I'm not wanting this manager back. It's not an option for me. Jorge Cepero says Oliveira winning the Scudetto with Napoli will be awesome. Like you said, he keeps being in the starting 11 more and more. Yeah, and he's gonna be there soon as the fixed starter for sure. And I mean, Scudetto is almost sure. I think 18 points it is. I think, and let's see what they are gonna do in the Champions League because there are probably not a lot of teams better, or even if there are, I'm not sure if there are teams better in Europe right now than Napoli. So yeah. I think, I think that the new coach should be between Guillermo Amada, and Marcelo Bielsa. I don't have a lot of confidence in Broly. What about you? Almada is my pick. I think I've said this a lot of times. I really like him, and I think he should be the manager. Bielsa I wouldn't take because I think, I mean, there's no doubt that he brings something completely different, and he brings normally good football, but also football that doesn't win a lot of trophies. And Broly, I think he's done well for Uruguay under 20, but his managerial experience is almost nothing, on a good level, on a high level. So I mean, he's the interim manager, and that's okay. But anything other than that, no, for me, no. Jorge Cepero says, "What's even more shameless is that Alonso hasn't even spoken publicly about the World Cup disaster. It's embarrassing." Yeah, that's also what I think. And I mean, Ignacio Alonso has been speaking a lot, and the way he's been speaking is also embarrassing. But Alonso really, I mean, does he really think that we as fans would accept that he keeps his mouth shut all this time and then in a few months comes back as the manager? that we take him seriously. I mean, even if he becomes the manager, I mean, there's no way that I'm gonna turn around and be support. Okay, when he comes into the job, I have to be supportive, but my skepticism will still be there. But the only what he should do if he becomes a manager once again, first press conference, he should really get on his knees and apologize for what the shit show he let us experience and the mistakes he made, and not come up with this bullshit about the referees and stuff like this. I mean, be honest, be transparent. We are not mugs, you know. And I think we all see what was happening there, and we all see how we just underperformed, which is putting it mildly. Um, so that's the reason why I don't want him there. But even if he comes there, we have to see some honesty, some transparency. I mean, because yeah, that's just we have been taken for fools for a long time during the Tavares era. You know, a lot of time that we were taken for fools, and it's not acceptable. Okay, Lucas says Colombia and Ecuador have many talented young players coming through now. Yeah, Ecuador for sure. I think Colombia, I'm less aware, to be honest, but yeah, I wouldn't doubt that, because Colombia is a team or a country that always has exciting footballing talents. But Ecuador for sure, they're going to be big competition for Uruguay. Yeah. Broly said Alvaro was very likely to play the Under-20 World Cup. Good news, says Jorge Cepero. Yeah, and I think this was, for me, it was never really in doubt, because I think Team like Madrid, they know how important it is for players, young players, to play this tournament. They released Valverde, and Alvaro, although he is getting more minutes in the first team, it's not like he's an essential part of the team. You know, that's not, you couldn't say this. So yeah, I think he's gonna play, and he has to play, obviously, because come on, he was so good in the Sudamericano. But even though he was really good, I still see a lot of room to improve for him, which is even better. Do you think Facundo Torres will actually leave the MLS now? A 30 million release clause is quite high for an MLS player. Yeah, but release clauses, they are there, but they don't really mean anything anymore. Because I think Arezo has a release clause of something like 200 million. I think at some point, Valverde has one for 500 million, I think, or even maybe a billion. So I think he still will leave the MLS, and it will still be for a sum which will be around 15 million, maybe 20, but probably 10, 15. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. But you never know, because that's the problem, which I've discussed with many of you as well on Twitter, is that the transition for players from the MLS and the Liga MX to Europe seems to be a lot harder than from Uruguay or Brazil or Argentina to Europe. It just seems to be less frequent that players do well in the Mexican League and the MLS and go to Europe. I mean, Rossi had to wait so long for his move to Fenerbahce, and this is just one example of many more. And I hope this isn't going to be the case for Torres or Cesar Arajo, that is. So yeah, let's see. So I'm gonna go through the final comments from Danny F, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Almost going on for an hour. It's been great to see you here, to hear your opinions, even if you just in the chat listening. Appreciate it a lot. And if you want, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I want to reach 1,000 subscribers this year. We are, I think, on 926. Hopefully we can reach 1,000, which will be awesome. Okay, Danny F says, I wake up every night at 3 a.m. thinking about Alonso, waiting till the 70th minute to take off Godin and Vecino for Dallas Guetta and Pelistri. We could have easily won that game if he made the change sooner. And then he says, first Portugal. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is one of many decisions that he got wrong. And yeah, it's just depressing when you look back at it. The worst excuse that Alonso made in a post-match conference during the World Cup was versus Ghana. He blamed Uruguay not scoring a lot because the other teams wanted to win too. Okay, I didn't even notice, to be honest, because I remember after the Ghana game, especially, I mean, I wasn't even posting, I think, for like a day or two, or hardly anyway, because I was just too pissed off at everything. And especially about people defending, or not defending, but blaming the referees. Because, I mean, what I try to do when it comes to football, and certainly when it comes to Uruguay, is I try not to zoom in on one incident. I try to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because I'm not. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of Uruguay, but I'm critical of Uruguay, of the manager, or players, or the board, the Ignacio Alonso, the president. I'm trying to be critical, because I want to see the best, but I don't want to be like a blind fan that is just blindly following or supporting a team. Obviously, I do, but if there is blame on the side of the players or manager or the president, we have to call it out, and we don't have to go into this role of blaming the outsider, blaming the referee or the opponent's team, or this and that. Certainly there are occasions when you can do this, and when you need to do this, because there is something so obvious, and you're being wronged on such a big level. But when it came to the World Cup, the mistake, or the referee performance, which was absolutely not good, I agree with this, but you cannot look at this and say this was the problem when you just did a campaign like this, when Uruguay, or Alonso, was the one responsible for Uruguay not going through. Eventually, the result or the performance of the referee led us to lose, or not lose, but not win enough against Ghana. That's true. But the fact that we even came at this point was because of our, or Alonso's, mistakes in the tournament. And that is what, at that time, and I still do believe, is the most important thing to highlight, because it's just not. I mean, it's not good enough, basically. So yeah. Okay. I will see you next week, and I will obviously speak to you all if you are on Twitter and interacting, or whatever. Speak to you on Twitter on the latest stories. I think Girona and Atletico are still playing at the moment. Uruguayan League action is also going on tomorrow, or I think it's Wednesday. Madrid-Liverpool. So Valverde against Darwin. It's looking unlikely for Darwin to go ahead, because Madrid lead 5-2 after the first leg. But that is what we're going to follow. And also many games in Brazilian football, Argentinian football, Mexican football, the Europa League and the Conference League games, and then on to the next weekend. And then on Monday, a new weekend roundup. So I'm looking forward to this. So yeah, thanks for being here. And I will see you very soon. Have a good night. Bye-bye.